Hey, everybody, welcome to another Motivation Monday podcast for Monday, October 8th, 2018. So good to have you back and welcome you in on a Monday, and hopefully, we can give you something to think about throughout the week and help you on your journey. So, this week, I wanted to talk to you about something that I think is going to result in some hopefully tremendous personal growth for all of you, whether it be in music or just life in general. And that is confronting some of the biggest fears in your life as relates to music, or you can even take this outside of music and make it a part of your personal life. But I'm obviously going to address this stuff when it comes to playing music and playing jazz specifically. So one thing that I try to do at the beginning of the week is I try to think of one thing that kind of terrifies me when it comes to playing jazz or anything that has to do with my career or my personal playing level. Try to think of something that really just makes my palms sweat, something that I'm really, really not good at. And then I try to come up with a way to systematically address that, figure out why I'm terrified of it, and start to work on maybe the different parts of that concept that will help me not be so scared about it. So if we were to put this in a musical context, I want you to think about one aspect of your playing that you just really, really get down on. Right. So that might be, well, I don't have any technical facility in this certain number of keys, or I really am not thrilled with my sound on my instrument in a certain register. Or whenever I see this in a piece of music, or whenever I try to do this when I'm improvising, I fall flat on my face. And then I want you to think about why that happens. And that's the really, really important part, because it could be a mental thing. It could be a physical thing. You really want to work that out in your head. What is it about this particular aspect of playing that makes me not good at it or makes me so scared of actually doing it? So let's do a concrete example. So let's say one of my least favorite keys is the key of F sharp major. On the saxophone, that just falls into a very, very difficult category. It's very awkward on the instrument. The different combinations of keys that I have to use are just plain weird, and it's tough to get around that key on the instrument. So whenever I encounter something that's in this particular key, I get really, really nervous. And basically in my mind, it's like, all right, here we go. We're going to play something that doesn't make sense, and I'm going to make a fool out of myself actually playing in this key. So to me, that's a good enough reason to really address that key and figure out what it is about that particular set of notes, either mentally or physically. And I think for me, it's a little bit of both that makes me fall flat on my face every time I see that chord or every time I have to deal with something in that key. And then what I'm going to do is I'm also going to systematically come up with a way to conquer that problem. So what I might do is I might say, okay, for this week, every single day when I warm up, I'm going to do a whole bunch of different exercises in that particular key. Right? So I'm going to play, my F sharp major scale, the full range of my instrument. I'm going to practice playing thirds in that key. I'm going to practice playing fourths in that key. I'm going to practice all of my diatonic triads in that key. I'm basically just going to tackle that key like no other because I know that it's a major weakness of mine. That's going to take care of the physical part of the problem. And then that's also going to take care of a bunch of the mental part of that problem because my mind is just going to be in that key every day for an entire week or an entire month or maybe even an entire year, right? Depending on the severity of the problem. So that's how I would handle it, a step-by-step approach. And what I'm doing is I'm not thinking about what a problem it is. I'm just jumping in head first and taking on that issue. And then what I might also do is take a tune, like let's use Take the A Train, for example. That tune is typically in the key of concert C, right? So I might take that and I might put it in the key of concert E so that on tenor saxophone, now I'm in F sharp for the majority of the tune. So that's another way of forcing me to deal with that problem, but do so in a creative way. because what I'm going to try to do is actually improvise over the tune in F sharp. And it's going to be really, really bad at first. And it's going to be really, really scary. And you're not going to want anybody to hear you doing it. But if you keep at it, and you stay motivated and stay hungry to learn about this, eventually you're going to start developing some tricks that you can use in that key. You're going to start understanding that key, and it's going to become less terrifying. So that the next time you see it, you're going to go, oh, okay, this is just one measure of F sharp, not an entire tune in the key of F sharp. This is not so bad. So there's like a really, really specific example. But let's address something that's as non-technical as it gets. Maybe you're terrified of going to a jam session and letting other people that maybe are better than you, maybe intimidate you, people that you respect, hear you play because you think that they're going to, cast you off as somebody who just can't play and they should never call you for a gig or whatever. So maybe you're terrified, you've got all these preconceived notions. Well, let's use the same process. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to think about why am I so scared to go and play at this jam session and let others hear me play. And it's probably a lot of the same reasons as we mentioned before, right? You're not confident. You think something terrible is going to happen to you. That's honestly not going to happen to you. We addressed this in a previous Monday Motivation podcast, talking about you might think that all these musicians are going to hate on you, but they're not. They're going to be actually very, very supportive. So basically, you're identifying, why do I not want to do this? And then you have to come up with a way to systematically tackle these reasons and start to conquer them. So you may just have to figure out, all right, there's one jam session that I feel like I can go to and actually work up the courage to get on stage. And then you do that, and you realize it's not as bad as you thought. And then you find another jam session and you actually start to conquer this fear in a step-by-step logical manner. You start to realize that a lot of these things that were holding you back just aren't true, right? That a lot of these fears you had, they're not found in any type of reality, right? And maybe the first jam session you go out to, you fall on your face a little bit, but then you learn from that. And again, you use this systematized way of saying, all right, what did I do that made me kind of fail? And how can I start to work on that? Maybe they were playing a bunch of tunes that you didn't know. All right, well, go and learn all those tunes. And then when you go back, you have an idea of what they're going to play, and you will know every single tune. Write down every single tune that they played, and then go and start to tackle that list one by one. So anyways, there's a million different examples I can use, but I'm trying to keep this episode a little bit on the shorter side. But, really think about that this week. Maybe start to write down some stuff that you're really scared of or some stuff that you feel like you're not good at, and then start to use this system to tackle that stuff. And the result will be you'll be in a much more confident headspace, and you'll also have this brand new list of stuff that you have to work on, and you can get to it. Right? And don't think about it, just get down to it and start working on this stuff. All right, so maybe shoot me some stuff that you are terrified of and maybe some stuff that you're going to start working on this week, 10minutejazzlesson@gmail.com. I love to hear sort of people's take on this and maybe some of the different stuff that they are worried about, some of the stuff that they're trying to get better at, because I think it'll make us all feel better. All right. Have a great week, and we will see you on Friday with a regularly scheduled episode. Have a good one, everybody. Bye.